Fistful of Dollars.
Yeah. Good, the Bad and the Ugly.
I can see the film, but I can't remember the title.
We'll take. Look, I'm going to.
You're really boxing me in here, Fred. It's you know, I'd have done some homework if I'd known.
Welcome to Fred Flicks. This is a film and TV podcast brought to you by Cineworld. But today we're at my hometown cinema, so we're in Scarborough at the Stephen Joseph Theatre, which is where I worked for, probably 4 years. And so I thought I'd do it. I'm visiting my family, so I thought I'd do a hometown version. And so I'm here with a member of my family, Brian Jepson, aka Grandad.
Say hi to everyone.
Hi, everybody.
So I'm going to be interviewing my granddad about his film and TV preferences, and we've had a little chat on the way because this is a last-minute invite, wasn't it? I only invited you about an hour ago or something.
Yeah, very last minute.
Nice to have you with us.
Well, it's very nice to be here, Fred.
You mentioned this used to be the Odeon, did you say?
It did. Yeah. And in front of us would have been the big drop.
Right.
You know, and then the auditorium. We're on the balcony, I suppose you call it.
The big. Oh, this was a balcony.
This was the upper bit.
Oh, really?
These, I remember, as I said to you, I can remember distinctly, and we were the only people in the cinema on that day, that night. Me and your grandma.
Yeah.
Literally the only people sat up here watching Christine, and it was the most fantastic film.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And that was when it still had the balcony.
Yeah. If you went any further, you fell into the abyss.
I had no idea that there used to be a balcony.
There's a new floor all across here.
Oh, right. What's the film you've seen the most, do you
Well,
think?
when I was at university and your gran and I had just got married, we were in Bangor,
Yeah.
and during the Easter break, because we hadn't got any money, we worked at the local cinema.
Oh, really?
And for the Easter break.
Yeah.
So for 2 or maybe 3 weeks, I was the commissionaire, and I had to wear the proper commissionaire's, epaulets and a hat.
Yeah.
And your gran was the usherette.
Oh, right. I've never heard this story. That's nice.
And for the full 3 weeks, they were running a James Bond film. The one where they have the Vulcan, I've forgotten the name of it. We must have seen it, twice a day, matinee on Wednesday, and for 3 weeks.
Oh, my gosh.
That's all we saw, plus the adverts.
And
nothing changed.
By the end, did you hate it or did you love it? Because I loved mine by the end of seeing it.
Well, I'd already slipped my wrist by that time. So.
Right then. That's a good story. I didn't know you'd done that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like films were shown longer in cinemas back in the day? Because I seem to remember even when I was young that if a film did well at the cinema, it would be there for months and then it would only come out on like VHS maybe.
Well, of course, I can go back a lot further than that. You know, you being a child basically.
Still, yeah.
Essentially. Well, in the days before all that sort of thing, you always had an A film, but a B film on with it as well, a supporting film.
Oh.
They don't do those now, but you always saw the B film first, which might have been a real cheap thing, and maybe a cowboy or a really useless crime film.
Like a short one, like 30 minutes?
Yeah, maybe an hour or something.
Oh, an hour, yeah.
I mean, Ronald Reagan used to be the ex-president of the US. He was a star of B films.
Really?
Yeah, and then you only went really for the A film.
Yeah.
And but you always were given a B film. She had a really good.
So were the A
ticket.
films? So you were there for quite a while then. If it was a B film for an hour and then an A film.
Oh, you're there for life.
That was a full evening's job then.
Yeah, took your survival kit and everything.
I guess nowadays, to be honest, films are like 3 hours long consistently.
You have a real long trade film now, don't you? Like Pearl, whatever it's called. All those. They go on for ages.
Yeah.
You could virtually have a B film in there.
Yeah. That was what Tarantino tried to copy with his Grindhouse Death Proof. Do you remember he tried to do a double bill in one film?
No, I don't.
Yeah, it wasn't very good, I thought. Anyway. Yeah.
not quite up to date as you are.
Well, that was 2008, but it wasn't very good. So I don't think
that long ago.
Yeah,
ever.
I know. Yeah, when dinosaurs ruled the earth. If you had to pick to watch one for the rest of your life, would you call yourself a film or TV person if you could only watch film or TV for the rest of your life?
That's really difficult because there are so many good films made for TV now, aren't there?
True, yeah.
So I think I'll go with TV because I think the future lies with TV.
And you enjoy a lot of series as well.
I do, yeah.
I know you like comedies like Curb and stuff, but do you watch dramatic series a lot as well?
I do, constantly.
Yeah.
Because I'm lazy. And, they don't cost anything. But I like watching, at the moment, I'm absolutely fixated with ITV X, as it called, used to be ITV3.
Oh yeah, ITVX, yeah.
And I love all those repeat things. I love Morse.
I've never seen it, but
it's cracking. And, well, it is to me in my simple mind. And all those sorts of things, even Midsummer. I watched Midsummer Murders last night.
Yeah.
And
it's quite comforting to rewatch
I do like
stuff,
all
isn't
those
it?
sort of things. But Morse especially, I don't mind Lewis, which is the follow-on.
Right.
And I've been watching supposedly the young Morse, it's called Endeavour.
Right.
And that's quite good, actually.
Yeah.
And although I think it's just finished.
What do you think about speaking of detective shows, what do you think about the Kenneth Branagh, Agatha Christie films? Have you seen any of them?
I have.
Yeah.
I can't say I dislike them. I mainly like them because your gran absolutely adored them. So I picked up the habit of watching them, even things like Poirot. I mean, it's so well acted.
Yeah, he's
and
good.
You can't help but like it. And I quite like the periodness of it.
I quite like the goofiness of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if originally is that character supposed to be a goofy character?
I think he's fairly. I never read them.
Oh, right.
My grandma
But
did.
Gran read them,
but
yeah.
I'm just assuming that's a fairly good portrayal. But I think Suchet is such a good actor.
He's great.
And he would have read it first and got the flavour of it.
Yeah. What is either your favourite film of all time or your current favourite that you would watch in a heartbeat? You can name a few if you're not sure.
Well, Christine. I mean, I never have guessed I'd have said this, but it's mainly the nostalgic connection
to this place.
with your gran, and that it was our wedding anniversary.
Really?
And we rarely got out. I think the kids were old enough to be left with, a can of paraffin and some matches by that time. So we came out on our own. Everything was shut in Scarborough. We couldn't find anywhere to eat, which was our intention in a modest way. And so we came over here. It was still open, and we were literally the only people in here. It was towards the end, the demise of the Odeon.
Yeah.
And sat just over there near that plaster cast on the wall.
It's interesting that you chose to sit at the side, even though there was no one in.
Yeah. Because we didn't like being too close. It was a huge screen. And luckily, Christine's are really colourful, lots of flames and things. So we did a good choice.
So Christine for nostalgia.
Yeah.
Can you remember your earliest cinema visit?
Oh, I certainly can, yeah. When I was about 8, I'm sure I was 8, I went to live with my grandparents. And they were lovely people, and my gran especially. And we lived in the outskirts of a town called Chelmsford in Essex, and on a lane called Beehive Lane. and she introduced me to Saturday morning pictures, because she wanted rid of me, basically, I suppose. And she was to give me a shilling, 2 sixpences, one for the bus fare, and one to get in. And I used to go to the ABC on my own, because I didn't have any friends down there at that point. And it was just for kids. And you paid your £6. I didn't know what the heck but I went there every Saturday. There was a B film on first, which was often Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, or Flash Gordon with Buster Crabbe.
Right. Oh, real treat.
You know, in the day when the models were terrible, but it was just... I never really got into science fiction. That's the nearest I ever came.
Yeah.
Really, but, you know...
Because it was a spectacle when you first gone there, yeah.
And then then there'd be a break, which was terrifying because there weren't that many kids. So you all crowded to the front few rows. And there was like a master of ceremonies, who I presume was the manager of the cinema, would come on the stage at half time when the usherette came out. I didn't have any money for anything like that. But and then he would then, using a searchlight, a spotlight from the back, go along the rows. Each row of us were all like that, really? Until he stopped on somebody. Then you had to go on the stage and sing.
Oh my God.
Well, I can tell you, as soon as that light came down, the number of heads that went down beyond, me included, hit the deck,
That's really pressurising.
Every week, the same girl was chosen, and she used to sing Tulips from Amsterdam.
Was she chosen because she just wanted to do it?
Yeah, she wanted to do it, yeah.
Right.
But then you'd have essentially your A film, and then they'd tell you to bugger off. That'll be it.
Sounds like a nice morning.
It was.
Was that expensive? What?
Sixpence.
Was it expensive? I don't know what that is equivalent.
Well, that's 2.5p.
Pretty cheap then. Quite cheap.
But that was enough. That's what we all had. And this is 1954 we're talking about.
Yeah.
And but no, I remember that fondly. That was my first experience of film. And then
did you feel when you first went to cinema?
I was overwhelmed by it.
Did you feel like, was it, because I feel like now, as a kid now, you're probably exposed to so many different formats of media before you've even been to the cinema, that once you go, you might not even recognise it as something exceptional, Do you feel like at the time you felt like it was exceptional
It took you into another world, which you should do.
Yeah.
Especially cowboys and Indians. I love westerns, always have done. And
you do, you like the... Kevin Costner westerns. There's a new one come out.
I do.
Horizon.
I especially like Clint Eastwood. You can't beat him.
Which one's your favourite?
Well, I like all that. He did those that trilogy over in Spain. I've got I often watch those.
Yeah, I think Fistful of Dollars is my favourite out of those three. To be honest, they're all good.
Yeah. I tell you, I saw one recently which I really enjoyed. I can't remember the precise name of it, but it had, and I'm embarrassed now, I can't remember his name. That English actress, something Dogs. Like a modern cowboy in the 1920s sort of time. What's his name?
Is it a new film?
Yeah, well, it's been out a couple of years now, but and I think it's put up for an Oscar, wasn't it?
Power of the Dog? Power of the Dog?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Something like that, yeah. And it's the English actor's main...
he's actually American, but I think he's doing an English accent.
No, he isn't. He's English, yeah. But it was filmed in New Zealand, actually, wasn't it?
Was it not Jesse Plemons and Kirsten Dunst, wasn't it? The blonde Kirsten Dunst and...
She might well be. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Everybody who's listening will go...
We'll be Googling it.
And I'm so sorry. Not very good. After I left my grandparents, was sent back home again with my budgie in its cage, and got restored to family life. We lived near Cambridge, and when I was 10ish, Rock Around the Clock came out, right? And I must have got the buzz for it because my parents gave me enough money to go to Soham, which was the next town to where we lived. We lived in a village called Fordham. But Soham was the nearest town with a cinema. And I can remember getting on the bus and going watching Rock Around the Clock. And that, of course, introduced me to music. And I was on my own. And I remember coming home, and it must have been about 9 o'clock. I thought, really late, Yeah. But no, that was always remember that film.
So that was a film and that was the theme song for the film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bill Haley, Rock Around the Clock.
Right, yeah. I forgot actually.
Loads of little performances by other, and of course lots of acts came on.
Yeah.
Can't remember precisely all they were now, but people like Gene Vincent. You know, I can remember him distinctly because I started collecting his records quite early in my life, and they're all proper rock and roll. You know.
Do you know the Oscar for Best Original Song? When I look back, I feel like that was introduced because films often had like major songs accompanying them, didn't they? Yeah. And there was a lot of Elvis films and like
all
Beatles
based around
films.
like an EP or something like that.
Yeah.
They always did that. You know, like GI Blues. I've got the EP of that at home still.
Yeah.
You know, things like that.
I remember there's a cowboy film called High Noon. Have you seen
High Noon's fantastic.
And it's got that song,
film.
Don't Forsake Me, oh my dad. That's like a famous song, isn't it? From that?
Yeah, that was Gary...
Busey?
Who?
Yeah, I don't know, I just said a name.
Gary...
Busey.
Somebody.
I don't know who Gary Busey is.
Yeah. One of my favourite films, actually.
Oh, right, right. When was the last time you went to cinema?
Well, I think it was the beginning of the year. I saw Napoleon at York View.
Yeah.
Right, on the multi-screen thing. I haven't been since because I've unfortunately I used to go every Friday to York and treat myself. And then I've been a bit under the weather, so I haven't resumed it, but I intend to.
And when you do go every Friday, are you intent on a particular film, or are you happy to walk in and see what's on? Kind of thing?
No, I like just to walk in, see what's on. I don't pre-book.
Yeah.
And there's that much choice, isn't there, anyway?
Yeah.
No, I'm happy with that.
I quite like that approach because I feel like I think I'm getting more and more picky with what I'm going to see, where I'm seeing it, and how I'm seeing it. Like, I get picky about the seats.
Well, I'm not a nerd yet, mate.
Right.
That's coming.
Still time to become a nerd. Yeah, I see. What are your go-to cinema snacks?
Snacks?
Yeah, do you tend to
Fred,
like?
I don't.
Not anymore.
I don't.
Because I feel like when we used to go,
body is a temple.
Yeah. You used to get snacks when we used to go. I think you used to like it.
Snacks up here. Could hardly see the screen. No, I don't anymore. Maybe a bottle of water. I know it sounds awful, but get to my age and you start to resemble a walrus. You don't really need
extra snacks
to be sat there and stuffing your face, really.
Right.
So,
well, if you were on a desert island or in a fantasy world and you could have any snack you want, what would you go for if you could?
Hot dog with onions.
Hot dog with onions. Because the View do good hot dogs, I think, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
Great picking.
Hot dog and onions. I'd be worried that the hot dog's a bit smelly for people sat next to me.
I couldn't care less.
Right. Just get it down. I tend to go for non-crinkly things, but definitely savoury food.
Yeah.
So I go for maybe I like a sandwich, to be honest. I take in a sandwich sometimes.
I don't think you can get those in York.
No.
Not that sophisticated.
Yeah. Let's say your life was on screen and we were going to watch it. What format do you think it would be in? For example, it could be an epic 3-hour film, blockbuster, or it could be a kind of sitcom, or what genre is your life, would you say?
Horror. No. Documentary.
A documentary?
A documentary.
Like a docudrama. You could maybe even be like a Larry David.
Not much drama, I don't think.
Maybe you could be a Larry David just following around you.
Who's he?
You know, Curb.
Oh, sorry. Larry, yes. Larry, I love Larry
You could be
David.
a Curb Your
I
Enthusiasm,
love him.
yeah.
Yeah, I could be as rude as him.
Yeah.
I could easily
I think
do
that would be a great program.
Easily
actually.
do that.
People follow you around, see what hijinks get up to. If your life was on screen, do you think it would be a box office success? Do you think people would?
It'd be a total waste of money.
Do you think?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Who do you think would invest in it? Maybe it'd be your own money.
Somebody who's probably just about to be released from an asylum who could be convinced
by
a con man.
Is there a particular part in your life that you would look back on and think, oh, that, like a section of someone's life would be a good film? Is there a particular part in your life that would be a good film?
Well, I've had some quite interesting episodes in my life. I think I got married young, had a family young. I'd love to show that, and it's because your gran was such a brilliant mum, a lovely person.
Yeah.
I think it's very difficult to reenact that, but that would be nice.
So that could be like a romance drama.
Yeah, and the other, I suppose, being ever so selfish, as you know, I changed careers quite late in my life.
I think this is a good story, actually.
And I think my time as a criminal defence lawyer has been, well, absolutely eye-opening for me. I didn't begin till I was 50. So I got away with murder, people thinking I was really experienced when I wasn't. And I can look back on my working life and think, there's nothing I wish I should have done that I haven't, you know.
Yeah, you've done all
Fulfilled
sorts. And I think, I don't know if you agree or not actually, but I feel like day-to-day legal practice hasn't been represented that well in film. It's quite Hollywoodized, and I don't think what you experience really is on film.
No, I think you're right. It's I was quite amazed when I literally fell into criminal work. Had no intention of doing it. In fact, I could say categorically, I was asked once, what sort of work do you want to do? And they said crime. I said, oh, no way I'll do crime. And then I actually literally had to take it up because I got a murder case overnight one night. And that first case ever had was a murder. And even in a rural area like this, you'd be amazed what goes on behind the scenes. I found it fascinating.
That would make a great film.
It was just people, this is a cliche, every day's different, but it really, really was. I never knew what was going to crop up. And it was quite exciting. I loved going to the police station. I used to love being in trials. Eventually I had to wear a wig and a robe and all that business. And I used to love it. I used to love addressing the jury. I loved all that.
What do you think is the best, maybe most representative or best courtroom scene that you've seen, or courtroom film?
Not many of them are very realistic, to be truthful.
Yeah, even I don't really know, but even I can tell that a lot of them are a bit sensationalised.
I mean, I think it's very difficult. It's nowhere near as dramatic or as theatrical, unfortunately, as they portray it, which is, I think it's an impossible thing to reenact, really. Right. So until we get live telly that does more than just the sentencing, the live sentencing, I think it'll open people's eyes quite a lot. There aren't many star interrogators.
Not like A Few Good Men, screaming at each other.
I mean, it's there for drama's sake, and it is dramatic, but it's nowhere near as well rehearsed. The questioning, you might have a line of questioning in mind. You may even have jotted a few down for yourself, but I can assure you after you've got going, one answer will have thrown you completely. Yeah, and so you've got to start again,
Yeah, because they do always depict it as like they're asking you into a corner and then they've got you and then it's like the big ending moment. Yeah.
And you can open more doors than you close by the wrong question.
Right.
And it's fascinating, it really is.
Yeah, I think that would make a really good film. Are there any particular movie actors, directors, crew or cast members, or even characters that you would like to spend time with on an evening?
I'm not very good at this. Cumberbunch was the bloke I was thinking about.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
He was in that Cowboy, I think.
Right, yeah, he was. He was the bad guy, wasn't
he? Yeah. Well, a baddish guy.
Yeah.
Died of anthrax, so got his just desserts,
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know the personalities well enough because I quite like.
What about past, like when you were younger or anything like that?
I really enjoy European films, especially the Scandinavian, the Nordic noir things, because many of those people, when I first started watching them, apart from I'm sure they've got some fame in their own countries, but to us they're all completely wonderful actors, but they weren't divas, were they?
Exactly.
And a lot of it remains like that, and I really, really enjoy that. I think I enjoy good acting from people. I think I've seen his face before, but I can't remember his name. The same with French films.
Yeah, right.
I don't mind dubbing. I'm not dubbing, but subtitles. I'm really happy with all that.
Yeah. So you're saying you actually prefer to not necessarily have a star in the film.
That's right. But I think often you can't help but see them as the person that they, because as a strong personality, they're often in our faces through the news and other things like that. And then when you see them on the screen, even though they may be very able actors, you've always got in the back of your mind that reference to their real personality, and it's difficult to divide the two.
It is.
So it's not always easy to fully appreciate their acting efforts.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Probably a bad way of describing it, but
no,
I hope
yeah,
you can understand what I'm saying.
Which, sorry, before we go on, actually, speaking of Scandi noir thrillers and speaking of courtrooms, did you watch Anatomy of a Fall? Which was
No, I haven't.
Oscar nominated.
No.
I'll write you the name after. It's so good. Yeah,
No.
I think you'll like it. It's a courtroom drama.
In fact, I've avoided everything you've ever suggested to me.
This is the one. That's the one you need to watch.
Right.
I think you'd really, really like it.
Yeah, I will if...
If you were to go to Yorkview, or if you were to come to see a film here now, where do you generally like to sit?
I like to sit towards the back.
Back, middle, or?
Between middle and back, not right at the back, sort of row D, F or something like that.
Okay, so kind of second to back row would be here.
I don't like being too close.
Okay.
Never have done.
That's interesting because I quite like looking up at a screen.
Yeah.
So I quite like a screen being there and looking up at it. So you prefer to kind of sit
I can't, my muscles don't flex that much.
Right. Yeah. I see. Right. Further back. Would you pick a recliner, or if?
They're all recliners in the view, aren't they? Oh, they're like this. You can spread yourself out.
That's what.
Get your hot dog like that straight in.
All piled up. I get picky about seats now. So like I really kind of think twice about booking a cinema that doesn't have a recliner. That's how spoiled I am in London.
All of you, they're all like that.
They're great.
Great.
Yeah. And Cineworld, who are sponsoring this podcast.
Yes, Cineworld. There's one of those in York. I go there occasionally.
Is there?
Yeah.
Whereabouts is it?
On the plusher retail park called the Vanguard Park. They've made a new one next to Monk's Cross.
They made a Cineworld there?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad there's a bit of competition there. And then there's got the picture house in the centre.
In the centre. I think that's a view one anyway as well, isn't it?
I think Cineworld own
what
picture
used
house.
to be the ABC or something. You're right in the town.
Yeah.
That's multi-flex, multi-screen now.
Yeah. This is a game that I made up called Ping Pong Pop Culture, right?
Right.
That you, the guest, you pick a category such as, I'll give the example that I always give, Tom Cruise films, which you don't have to pick.
What was that one?
Tom Cruise films, right? You pick a category and we would go back and forth naming those one from that category until one of us can't name another one. So you've got to pick a category that you're pretty confident at, and then see how I do against you, basically. Maybe like, you could,
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood films.
Yeah.
All right, then you start.
Fistful of Dollars.
Yeah. Good, the Bad and the Ugly.
I can see the film, but I can't remember the title. Where he goes, where he has that, he shoots them dead. When is that copper on the streets in Los Angeles?
You mean?
Hopeless.
You mean what's it called? Or he's talking in the mirror.
Yeah,
he's talking in the car mirror.
Yeah,
he's doing the famous line.
The
right, we'll give you a pass on that.
What about
one.
the thing? I like some. He did one really bad film actually, where there's a nun in it. A western.
Oh,
I can't remember the name. I'm hopeless with
We'll take. Look, I'm going to.
You're really boxing me in here, Fred. It's if I'd have done some homework if I'd known.
Hold on. Let me try and think of another one because otherwise I don't win either. I would say, what's that one where he's?
You're asking me. Yeah, go on.
What about films he's directed? American Sniper. He directed.
Well,
that?
I love that one where.
Gran Torino. Remember that one?
No, much more modern than that. The cowboy where he saves the women in the local whorehouse and all that business.
Unforgiven.
Unforgiven.
You like Unforgiven?
I did. Yeah.
Let's try another category. One that you know better than that.
I don't know. This is hopeless.
Try another category. That was fine, if that's the only one. We could even do something like films beginning with the letter G or something.
G.
Something like that.
That's going to help.
You could pick a letter. Any films beginning with the letter... Or
C.
You could do T, beginning with the letter C.
Yeah. Christine.
Children of Men. You got any more?
Who?
Children of Men. I think I might have won this one.
I'm exhausted.
I think I've won this one. Yeah, I've won 2 there. I think that might be the first time I've beaten a guest.
Oh, there must be 100 blooming films, aren't there? Can't say Ben Hur because that's a B, isn't it?
That's a B.
Yeah. Should have gone with B.
I've got I've got a few. I've got Carlito's Way, that Al Pacino one. Yeah.
You see, I know them when you tell me.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Any more C's?
Cruel Sea. Cruel Sea.
Cruel Sea.
Cruel Sea.
Cruel Sea. Well, there we go. That's it.
War film from 1948 or something. Jack Hawkins.
See, there we go. We can't remember, and then suddenly pull one out from 1948. What year were you born again?
48, thank you.
Yeah. What year were
I
you
was
born?
2. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
I think that's everything.
Well, I've enjoyed it, Fred. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been nice.
Not too much humiliation. I'm thankful for.
And we can cut out all the dodgy bits.
Well, everything I've said.
Everything. Will be about 2 minutes left.
Just for you,
just this bit. Yeah.
Right.
That's the end of Fred Flicks from Stephen Joseph Theatre in Scarborough. Still brought to you by Cineworld, and this is a bonus episode, a little off episode with my granddad, Brian. Thanks for coming.
Well, I've enjoyed it, Fred, as I've said, and I hope it isn't too boring for all those who unfortunately have to watch it.
I don't think it was boring. I think it was great. All right. Thanks, everyone. Ta-ra.
Goodbye.